podcast number 3, right?
Podcast number 3.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the DJ Life Podcast. Podcast number 3 in the books. We're going to get started today. And today we're going to be tackling the workflow process of basically what happens with a client from consultation, the initial consultation, and what happens leading up to the day of their wedding in terms of the back end on our side and from what the client sees. So we're going to get into a lot of detail and in-depth conversations in terms of this. So we're going to kick things off here. Well, actually, first off, if you don't know who we are, I am DJ Rick Webb.
And I am Erik Massengale.
Wow, he's so much more aggressive on episode 3.
Nice. I'm getting used to it. Just wait till the amount of times I do not say on this one.
Yeah, I criticized him after editing the last one for 8 hours that he needs to stop going,
I drag my knuckles.
Yeah.
Forgive
At
me.
least when you hit the though, you like just went ham with the topic, and then I just had to cut out the next
That's all I do is ham.
You also chugged a Monster before we got in here, so that has nothing to do with your energy
I
at all.
always just chugged a Monster.
Yeah, caffeine. We're both caffeine. We need a caffeine sponsor for this.
That would be sick.
That would be sick. Anybody wants to sponsor us with anybody watching in the future, we need a sponsor with a fridge right here with your branding. We don't really care who it is, Red Bull, Monster, Bang, whoever wants to sponsor us. This would be dope.
I
right
will
here.
shotgun your energy drinks on our podcast. I will shotgun that shit.
We've been on for 30 minutes. Time to shotgun another.
I've shotgunned so many Red Bulls in my lifetime.
All right. Cool. Erik, I want you to kick us off here. The initial consultation, what does that look like in your business for we're going to be talking about weddings here. So this is going to be 100% weddings. What happens with that initial consultation? Like, what happens?
All right. So things have changed, and I'm going to talk about, how they are now. At first, we were assigning the DJ, before the consultation even happened. It was, all right, checklist, who's available. This person is up next, so they do the consultation themselves. Since then, crap, that was a All right. Since then, we now do not assign the DJ until a month before the date, unless the couple really puts up a fight kind of thing. That's number 2. Anyways.
I got this engraved in his brain.
All right.
All right, game at home. If you're listening to this, take a shot every time you hear an or a drink, just a drink.
I'm going to quit commenting on it if I say it.
If you're drunk by the end, you did a good job.
Right. Anyways. So we no longer assign a DJ until about a month before the date. So the situation has changed a little bit. We during the consultation, I am either doing the consultation or the other guy that works in the office does the consultation. And during said consultation, we bring up, we don't assign your DJ until a month before the date. Mm-hmm. So our consultations have switched it up a little bit. What we do.
Don't worry about it. Just keep going. Just keep going, man. You got it.
All right, yeah. All right. So what
just
we
wait
do
until you start watching it back every time.
Right. So what we do, we are a budget-friendly company. I hate saying this like this because it makes us sound like super cheap, but basically, if we invest too much time into a client, it no longer makes that price worth charging. We would have to charge more because we've invested more work in said client. So what we do, the DJ no longer does their consultation because it's in their payout. It's reflected in what they get paid. It's reflected in our pricing. And so when we do a consultation, we basically try and get the client to shut up and listen to what we have to say. And at the end, if you have any questions, we'll answer them. They very rarely have any questions. The only questions they have is if they didn't listen, honestly, because we have a script.
That was going to be my question if you had a script.
And it's, it's loose. It's not literal, but there are a few points that, we touch on points as we go. We have a client go to our website. We show them our DJ gear, just so they know what they're kind of getting into. It's like a facade look kind of.
It's just
thing.
a picture of your setup.
Yeah, it's a picture of the setup that we use. And it's actually funny because it's kind of like it's the ADJ.
It's the nice facade.
It's the nice facade, and we don't use that. But they don't. It doesn't matter.
It's a facade.
Exactly. So we show them that picture, and then we immediately cut to our client portal, which is DJ Event Planner planning forms, the client view of DJ Event Planner, not the deep cut bullshit. But
wait, so is this like the initial consultation? This is like a video consultation?
We do it over the phone. Oh yeah, that's a super important detail.
That's what I was about to say. This is like a video phone call?
And we got to keep it within budget, like I said. And a video chat wouldn't be such a huge deal, but we only offer phone consultations. And if someone pushes for an in-person consultation, if we say yes to that, we must be desperate for money at that point in time, because that is a clear shot sign of this client is going to require too much attention and they should be paying a higher price DJ, because that's not our business model. Anyways, so only over the phone, and we say in our consultation setup, like, make sure you're at a computer through the phone call. So they're 99% of the time they're at a phone call or at a computer during the call. We get them to go to the client portal after we show them the picture of the gear. We point out a couple things. We're like, oh, you can pay us online. You can view and print your contract right here. Oh, it's so convenient. There's this little how-to video if you forget anything I'm about to show you. We go show them how to build the timeline. We show them how to fill out the planning forms. And while we show them how to fill out the planning forms, we're selling ourselves. We're basically pushing how organized we are. And, we point out, oh, this is where you fill out the start and stop time. And we talk about our package right there. We're like, all right, our reception only is 4 hours. If you get a package though, you save a bunch of money and it's 5 hours. And anytime over that, you prorate it. But this is just, a quick reference on that. But right there, we were sales talk. Next section.
You dishing a price right there, or are you still waiting until the end?
They've already seen a price.
Oh, okay.
They've already seen a price, but we're basically telling them we charge from start to end. We're not going to budge on that. It's because people immediately try and take advantage of you. As a DJ company, they think you're a mom and pop business that they can take advantage of, and everyone's going to try. It's just, it's kind of fucked up, but it's true. And we're just sticking to our guns, and we just say it straight up. If you go 5 minutes overtime, don't worry, we prorate that. And it's not whatever. Anyway, so then we go down. We're like, oh, and then we talk about ceremony and logic-based planning forms. So it's like, so you can click yes or no if we're doing your ceremony. By the way, do you want us to cover your ceremony? That's the first package sale right there. If they say yes, our first package is what they're buying. And then, so they're like, oh yeah, I am interested in you doing our ceremony. I'm like, all right, so click yes there. And it populates all these questions all of a sudden. Like, it's just everything we need to know for your ceremony. That's all I'm even trying to say, because I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck they want. But, and I'm like, oh, all the specific songs for your intros, a bride intro and your exit, and, guest arrival, blah, blah, blah. Next section. So cocktail hour. And I only touch on that for a quick second because it's no upsell. It's nothing about selling ourselves.
No, it's always included with the package, right. The cocktail and the reception.
So I'm like, cocktail section, pretty much the same. Anyways, move on to the next section.
Well, you could upsell a separate area speaker if cocktails in a different area.
I don't want them to know that that's an upsell. I don't want them to know they need.
Okay, I got you.
It's very laid out. But if they require an extra speaker, we charge for that. In our planning forms, if you click the right button, it pops up. Oh, $100 upcharge for that. Because it wasn't listed in the items you purchased.
Got you.
So it's right. That's an upsell I don't want them to be aware of.
That's more of a fee.
And that's because to say it bluntly,
you don't want it up front.
Right.
You want that more of a down the road.
I don't want them to think we're nickel and diming them, but at the same time, you can't just ask for a bunch of extra gear that's not included and not expect to be charged.
Not at a budget statute.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the next section is where we put the bride in her own wedding, and we only do this once. We talk about the introduction. It's the introduction section, and I'm like, oh, and this is laid out like a script, so you can really visualize how it's gonna play out for you. I'm like, it starts with your bridal party song, and then I say something funny right there. Always say a song that is whatever I think they're going to be funny. I've already identified who's the decision maker on the phone call. If it's the dude or the girl, I know because they're talking the most. They're the ones asking the questions.
Yes.
So they're the ones deciding the DJ. So I'm going to make either a joke about a song a guy likes or a song about a girl that a girl likes. Either way right there. So I'm like, so basically, choose your favorite Beyonce song. And they're like, ooh. And then I'm like, and then list your whole bridal party down the way, blah, blah, blah. And so after we introduce your bridal party, the next section, introduce bride and groom exactly as follows, and, list your other favorite Beyonce song for you guys to come into. And then I will discuss how that's like energy peak of the night. I'm like, and the reason we have first dance right after that is just because, everyone's got their cell phones out. Everyone's putting you on their Instagram stories. It's the energy peak of the night. All eyes are on you. So it's the perfect time to do your first and special dances. Another reason we say that and push that is so hard is because it's a bitch to do the first dance and parent dances at any other time. It just compresses all that work right there, and it's actually less work to do that. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so we push that right there, and then there's a section for or like a question right below that about who's doing the blessing or speech as you go or as you transition into dinner, and best way to find that person. And I always make a funny joke right there also about, I'm like, oh, if it's your Uncle Joe and Uncle Joe is bald, we're actually looking for this kind of description. Describe it as the best way to find that person. Put like bald guy at table 4, because it is undoubtedly that guy right there.
Heavy drinker at the bar,
right?
More than likely.
Yeah, and just something funny, just light funny, because we're doing weddings and I can't be completely ruthless with my humor. And I gauge that kind of stuff. That's another advantage of me doing all the consults, or me and Henry, is because we're super people. We're good at talking to people. We can identify, who's the decision maker, who are we catering to with how we're talking. Not everyone's basically smart enough to do that. I don't know the term, but not everyone's just has that mindset of doing that.
Read people. Not
right.
Everyone can read people.
Right. Read and also match their level. If they're cut and dry, if they're super dry, they're not laughing at any of your jokes, they only want the information.
Yeah,
and
you don't want to overwhelm
right. You don't want to continue to try and make jokes that are just like, ugh, because no one laughed.
And you don't want to fluff up your speech. You want to condense down what you're going to say.
You just want to get to the point, give them pricing information, and
get off there.
Right. And if that's what they want, then that's what you got to do on the other end. Anyways, so, we talk about all the intros, and then we kind of just quickly say below that, and we're like, oh yeah, reception events, you just choose whatever the hell's going on right there. And then, so the dance part. So we ask you to fill this out a month before the date, because that's when we choose your DJ, and we want to match you with the best DJ for your style. We don't want to go ahead and assign a DJ and then it turn out you are super heavy on country music and really like country music, and then wind up assigning you a DJ that doesn't like country music. That would be terrible. So here's the 3 play, and then we move on, because we don't want them to linger on that thought, because some people don't like that.
Yeah.
Right. But once, it's all about how you sell it, because usually when we say that, people are like, that's a really good idea. They'll immediately be like, wow, yeah, true that.
They forget the whole assigning DJ 30 days out, and they hear the matching DJ to the personality.
Right.
Yeah, they skip over the...
Right. But then we immediately change the subject, and we go right back to, must playlist, play blah, blah, blah. Here's the description of how you fill this out. And then we talk about contract terms, down payment. We get their money stuff. We confirm what they want. Mm-hmm. And then the consult is over.
And that's where you answer any questions, last questions, and end it.
Any questions? And they're always like, well, you just said so much shit, I don't even know what's going on. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks for talking to me. And here's a contract, and we'll, it'll expire in 7 days. Thanks. Bye.
That was actually going to be my last question. Like, what's your end to the consultation? So you end the consultation by giving them a contract, the think on for 7 days.
Yep. Always.
And that's it.
Because we have all the automated systems. Mm-hmm. So even if they're didn't expect the contract, our automated system will pull a signature out of them most likely.
All right, cool. So on my end, it's a little bit different, because obviously you get the DJ assigned right off the bat with us, and we actually pretty much invest a little more time than what you do with the client. It's just more in our catering. I'm not catering to budget-friendly people. That's just not what I'm aiming to do, even though our pricing right now is kind of on the average side. This is what you got to do to establish a footprint. Unfortunately.
Establish a footprint, yes. And we've put in that footwork kind of already.
Yeah, fucker. It sucks. This whole virus thing has made it worse. Anyways, I handle all of the initial phone calls for the most part. Sometimes they are more willing to talk to Marcellus if he's the last available option, so we end up working that out. But there is a loose script to describe, but ours is a little bit different. I don't just walk them through everything and lead the call. Typically, it's reversed. So up front, they're already seeing the information in terms of what the average price is going for, so that they're not shocked when they see over $1,000 for our ticket price. And we're pretty much, I expect them to always look at our website prior. That's super harped on in like the initial lead that we get. It's basically like, hey, check out our website. Hey, check out our wedding videos on our website. I want them to go look at our videos so that they have an idea of what they're getting in terms of experience. Also, there's a video on me basically giving the spiel that you would give in a video call. I already have it on our website pretty much that walks them through all the stuff that they're going to get. So on the phone call, and I don't do video calls because all that visual stuff should have already been taken care of on the website. Although I'm considering now that you said that, that's a very good idea to do that.
With a video, like, this is how you do it?
Yeah, they require a video. So might be changing something on that end. But what we do basically, or what I do on the phone call, is pretty much ask them, so what are you looking at getting? Basically, I'm just trying to get an idea of what they're looking for. What's the vibe you're going for? Are you going for club? Are you going for pub? What type of music you're looking for? I'm trying to gauge basically, what have you seen at weddings before? That's a very common question I ask. So have you been to a wedding before? What did you like? What did you not like? Because we have a lot of things that we can offer to sell them. And I've already scoped out their venue too. That's something I always do before I jump on the phone call, is know what venue they got, so I know what sort of things I can sell that'll work at that venue. Some venues you can't do a monogram. There's just no flat surface to do it properly other than the dance floor, which I hate selling because it looks like shit. Anyways, different lighting things work better. Our wash lighting doesn't work with low ceilings. Up lighting looks better, so that's something I can pitch during the sale. So I get an idea of what they're looking for off the bat, stuff that they want, and their experience level, and then I kind of just walk them through just touching on the things that are already on the website, a 2-person team, the wedding planning app, and just if they haven't seen it or if they didn't know, I give a little quick spiel about it to explain like what the wedding planning app is, or how the 2-person team works at a wedding with the assistant and the headliner, providing basically a day of coordinator in a way, so that you don't have to have a day of coordinator. That's kind of one of the bigger things I pitch on it. So yeah, it's just judging their vibe and basically answering any questions they have up front. So it's a lot of back and forth off the get-go, and the consultations range in time. After we pretty much answer all their questions and I've explained all the main hitters that I have on my script, the things that I want to make sure that they understand and they know with our services, we go into pricing. And because we don't do packages, it's a build your own style. So I have the brochure and I ask that they open it up and I walk them through the brochure in terms of what they're getting, so they understand how the bundling process works in terms of these are the prices, but you get a discount as you add on stuff and the way it works and stuff. These are the essentials, these are enhancements, and that's kind of where I pitch on the different enhancements that are going to work for their venue. And based on what they've told me already, if they're like looking for a club style, well, this lighting will work better for that sort of style. The 2 movers are going to provide you with beams that's going to provide more of a club style atmosphere. If you're really trying to go for a party, and we can add in LED foam sticks to even better your party experience if that's something you're looking for, and just sales stuff. I have a script basically for every one of our add-ons. These are the key things you want to mention. And I did that purposely because Marcellus does handle some of the phone calls. And after that initial phone call, they might want to have a phone call with Marcellus if that's the DJ that they're having. So that way he can reference basically everything I've told them prior. So we're on the same page in terms of that. Also, during the whole entire phone call, inside of our HoneyBook window, there's a notes section, and I'm pretty much writing down everything that they're telling me, all of the details, all of the information, both so that if I'm not DJing it, Marcellus can reference it, but just in general so that I can reference it or Marcellus can reference it in future communications. So whether it's a follow-up because they haven't booked yet, whether it's just down the line, we forgot that they already told us something like that, the notes section is just a good thing for me to reference in terms of follow-up text and stuff that we do after the fact to keep it a little more personal and a little more fluid. Main goals after my consultation, I always ask them 2 questions. 1, do you want to see a proposal to see the contract in terms of what, basically, do you want a proposal with basically being able to sign? 90+% of them, as long as it's within their budget. I get a lot of people where they're like, you're kind of up on our budget. I don't want to, and they don't ask for a proposal. But 90% of them, I'm sending a proposal. And then the other thing I'm always asking them is, hey, that wedding planning app, would you like to be able to download it and try it? Because I have to create you an account profile. Because a lot of them will basically be like, hey, what's that app so I can download it? And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I have to create you an account. Otherwise, you can't just go on the App Store and download it and plan your own wedding on there. It doesn't work like that. I have a bigger success rate with clients that do choose to get the portal or the app. You have the portal. I have the app.
We have an app.
Well, yeah, I know you showed me. It's basically the portal. It's basically the portal pulled up in an app form. But,
Well, it's an app.
Huge success rate with people actually booking that do have the app in place. Whether they sign the contract immediately or down the road. It ties them more to the company. It's more interaction, more steps that they're taking. So that is pretty much how our initial consultation works. And then there is possibly a follow-up consultation if they choose to. Sometimes we do them in person. It really depends. Most of them, though, either sign the contract or they don't. One or the other.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes.
You're terrible. One or the other. Yeah. There's a third option, you know? There's a third option. They contact you and they tell you to fuck off. Put it into layman's terms for me. Yes, so either they sign it or they don't. But some of them opt for a extra consultation because they want more information, or they just want to meet the DJ in person.
Right.
And
that's what I was talking about.
But
if
for
people
you,
start doing that with us, it's like, you're going to be a problem. Just we're full. Sorry.
A problem for your business,
right? Well, it's just
because
like,
it's just that's not how you're modeled.
Right. We don't have the budget to spend all this time on you. Sorry. You know, like if you're trying to get a budget company, expect
budget.
Yeah, I mean
service or minimal.
Yeah, I don't even
know how you would
I don't
word
really
that.
know. How do I word this to make myself not sound like shit? But for real, it's like, I mean, you're not getting a crap DJ, but there are just certain things that are not included, and that's like 50 consultations. You know, it's just not how it works.
Less of in person, more times than not, they're actually just getting they'll be texting Marcellus. Like I'll give them his number, or if they haven't signed the contract yet, I'll tell him to text them. Basically like, hey, text them and just see if they have any other questions, just as a follow-up in our chain. It's built into our workflows. But that pretty much covers initial consultations leading up to the book process. To correct what Eric told me, they either book and sign the contract or they don't.
Right, yeah.
That's pretty much it. So the next phase for a client or for us in terms of work, which this is really the no work phase, is kind of the long-term process leading up to the wedding. So weddings book of varying amounts of times out. It's different depending on region. I would say our area is roughly, what would you say, about 8 months to a year out, or 6
like
months
the average
to a year.
booking?
Yeah, the average booking.
Yeah, 8 to 6 months. 8 to 6 months.
8 to 6 months. It's rare that it's a year or sometimes. I know in different areas, I know Bar told me it's like normally they're booking a year in advance normally all the time, but it just depends on your area. I know our area is about 6 to 8 months. So for us, our long-term phase, you would say probably the short term is what, 60 days out? 60.
Are you talking about like a client signing a contract?
So I'm just saying, like, where do you start, like, the short-term process in terms of, would you say, if 30 days out, a DJ is assigned?
Yes.
So you would
Yeah.
say that, like, the work starts 30 days out for you guys for the most part, roughly. I'm thinking, like, short-term's always, like, where the work phase starts, and then long-term is kind of like the automated stuff.
Like I said, ours is automated. Like after I do the consult, I don't do anything else at all. Literally, I have to choose the DJ.
Me neither.
I have to choose the DJ, so I have to go click whoever's available and whatnot, assign it. But then past that, the client and the DJ, or the client schedules their own final planning meeting, and then the DJ will call them and do a 15-minute phone call also, and that's the only actual work before the wedding, other than downloading their music.
Okay, so that's like it within that month out phase.
Yeah, that's in the last month.
So what is the client getting, or the couple getting, in terms of emails, communication,
until that point?
Up until that point.
Right. Well,
minus like social media, because social media is technically a form of communication.
Right. We just post stuff.
Yeah, we always post stuff on social media, and that technically is communication. But what direct forms of communication are they getting?
Right. I mean, we send them emails and texts, not overbearing, but we, and also during the consult, we talk about how all the real planning is done in the last month. Up until that point, there's really no sense in it because they're going to change their mind on a bunch of stuff. So typically, let's just say it's 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months out.
About 6 months out, we'll shoot them some kind of like, we have all this other stuff we sell just in case. We try and upsell them an email, maybe like a photo booth promo video or something. Other than that, we'll shoot them our playlist information. It's like, check out these playlists. But we shoot them an email. It's really just to let them know we're not bouncing with their money. It's just really so they're just comfortable and know that we're still alive. That's actually what we title them, is we're alive. Not to them, but to us.
That's your reference.
Yeah. And they go out, it's either once a month, once every month and a half, something like that. We just say something. And it's slight value add, but not really. And then in there are 3 upsell attempts. And then other than that, we don't say much other than balance is due, and other than fill out your planning forms, which they get 3 reminders for all that stuff. 4 reminders for all that stuff.
And that's pretty much it up until the short term.
Yeah, up until that last, and even the planner reminders don't even start until a month and a week out. So actually, no, all those are actually in that last month too. So like I said, we touch base at roughly every month and a half up until the last month.
Okay, so on my end, it's a little more aggressive in terms of communication, but then again, it's all automated. So what I've done is I spent a little bit of time and basically wrote up a series of 10 different personal tip articles. So it's a variety of different tips, anything from like venue layout to how to outdoor receptions in terms of like things you can do, like you can spray down the grounds to avoid bugs, just little things here and there that I've noticed over the years, just tips of common stuff that we as DJs and industry professionals know that works and doesn't work at your wedding. Wedding parties. So you want to talk to your wedding party ahead of time to basically be on the same page with them. Because that is your team. That is what's going to support you. That's what's going to give your party. So I wrote up a series of articles. They're anywhere from a paragraph to 3 paragraphs, and those go out interchangeable with days till your wedding reminders. So I send out 200, 150, 150, and then 30. So 5 different emails get sent out, and they're not just a big old 100 days left to your wedding. They're kind of rote, so they don't seem automated. So like 50 days out is wrote somewhere along the lines of, hey, Cheryl and Bob, wow, it's only 50 days left to your wedding. I can't believe time has flied so much. If you haven't already, make sure you check on your planning forms. I'm going to do the same, just to make sure everything's in there. Just little reminders basically to do their planning forms and tips and those get sent out roughly every 2 weeks. One or the other is getting sent out in that normal 6 months, 6 to 8 months out. If they book a lot sooner, it's spread out a little bit more over that time period in terms of the tips. But the 200 in that obviously is 200 days, 150, etc. So in the long term, that's where that's going. Upsells, we also do that, and it's dependent on if they booked upsells beforehand or not. So being that I am kind of in the establishing footprint stage of the business, I'm doing a little more what you would say labor right now, and that is I'm offering basically site lighting demos. So one, every venue that we've never been to before, we always do a pre-site inspection just to get an idea of what equipment we can and cannot bring into that vicinity. Can I roll in gear? Can I not roll in gear? Can I get a trailer backed up to this facility? Just stuff like that. What's the outlet situation? Just so we have an idea of that stuff. But I pitch a lighting demo because it'll cover both. I'll, one, be able to go there and do the site inspection, but two, I'll bring along with me a couple of uplights, a monogram projector, a couple pin spots, a Wash FX 2, just a few lights, some string bulb lights so they can see them in person, whatever they're considering. But basically I ask them, hey, do you want to do a lighting demo in your space? And if they haven't booked lighting already, that's a huge point for me to want to do a lighting demo. And it doesn't really matter when it happens. I try to pitch them to do the lighting demo about 4 months out from their wedding. But I'll go out there. One, I'm doing the site inspection, and two, I'm going to show off all the lighting that they can possibly get. And every single time I do it, they book something. They add something on in terms of lighting. So that is what I do in the long term. And then there's also 2 other emails for upsells dependent upon if they actually booked that before. So there's one for uplighting and there's one for a monogram. Those are the 2 main things we always try and sell, a monogram. But there's little basically initiative emails that basically be like, hey, what's your wedding colors? It's just getting them to reply, and then I reply back with, have you considered like washing the room with uplighting? It's a little bit more labor intensive, but it gets them to respond instead of just hey, you considered uplighting, you'll do this and this and this and this, and they just never respond. It's just getting them a little back and forth, or again, for personal communication. I harp on that we keep base with them and touch base with them in terms of the initial consultation too. That's one of our selling points is, hey, we're not going to just abandon you. We're going to be constantly in communication with you. You can text us whenever you want. We'll answer you. And that's just part of my sales strategy. But that's what the long term looks like for our company in terms of what we do. Again, a lot of that has to do with at least the site inspection part, and that is more or less where we're at. Eventually, that will become no more. Because one, I'll have videos that basically show off every last single thing in pretty much every single venue that we're trying to work in, and two, we'll have pictures and videos, and we'll have all the content to be able to not have to go in person, and we'll know all the venues for the most part. But that leads us into the short term. So that short-term process leading up to their wedding, I would say 30 days out. That's typically the short term for us as well. In terms of the short term, you kind of touched on yours. You assign the DJ, and the client for the most part does all the planning for you. You guys don't organize the timeline, any of that, right?
Right. Yeah, we set them up to do all of that themselves.
All right, cool. A little bit different on our side. We give them the option to, but I like to dictate in a way how the timeline works. So even if they do arrange it however they want, normally I look at it and there's things like the first dance right after the grand introductions. I guess you covered it in the consultation, but I pitched that after the fact. I'm like, it might work a little bit better, and I give them literally the exact same thing. All the eyes are on you. It works better.
I mean, during the final planning meeting, it's up to the DJ,
Mm-hmm.
but if they switched that, it's like, oh, the first dance, this and that, or after dinner, I'm positive that DJ is going to be like, what would be better? What would be
better?
What would flow a lot better than that weird idea you did came up with?
So that actually is on. It's not me doing all of them either. I do my weddings, Marcellus does his weddings.
Right.
So
Right.
we're 100% pretty much after the initial lead consultation and booking. If it's Marcellus's event, I'm pretty much out of the picture. I have reminders to check in on him and check in on the planning process. I think it's like 20 days out. There's a reminder for me to, hey, check this couple's app, check the Vibo account for them, and make sure the DJ's been getting on them to do planning. And then if they haven't, I basically send Marcel's text, be like, hey, I noticed they haven't done it yet. Do you need my help to get them to do something,
Right.
or not?
Yeah. I mean, we, up until that 30-day mark, and really past that, I even say it's the 2-week mark in reality.
Yeah.
Is when they do that final planning meeting with their DJ.
Typically,
it's me or Henry is his name. Henry's the other guy that works in the office, communicating with the bride and groom if they need anything. But 90% of the time, we don't get a single question at all. Just because our stuff is, it makes sense. There's really no questions.
If they have a question, they're going to text the DJ.
Yeah, well, no, they don't have the DJ's information.
Oh.
They text us.
Gotcha.
Which is what we want. We don't want the DJ to be invested in any way until it is time to do the event.
You want their job to be as close to a job as possible,
right.
and not you do this for a living thing.
Yeah, well,
I mean, not like
that's not basically
not what I'm saying. I'm saying you're constantly doing stuff for it.
Right. It's not. It's like so. All right. So let's say that bride cancels her wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want I don't want for the DJ to have invested time into that gig, therefore deserving money that they haven't received yet.
I got you.
Right.
I got you.
Therefore, if the gig gets canceled, no sweat. DJ wasn't even counting on it. And that actually has really helped us through this COVID thing. All these what the hell's going on? Reschedules, cancels here and there. Well, yeah, I mean, the DJs are like, all right, so I got to go on unemployment for a couple months, but they weren't doing all this math, based on oh, I have all this coming. I wasn't giving them half a down payment and stuff like that. There's no financial wreck kind of thing other than the obvious we're not doing events.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely came
in handy.
Yeah, that was, thank God.
Yeah, and so we always do. You do a phone call, but we always either do a video call or an in-person with our couple prior to the event. We shoot for a month of 3 weeks out, but it normally ends up being 2 weeks out. Just always ends up that way. And dependent upon if we've done that site inspection or not, and if I did the lighting demo, whatever. If the site inspection is still on the board, we always try to hey, let's do it at the venue, just because we're trying to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, so that way we don't have to do extra work. But that's just the requirement that I have in place is we do a site inspection and we document everything involving that venue and take our pictures, because we want to have pictures for reference of that venue.
Yeah.
Because venues, it's surprising how many venues you Google and they don't have a picture worth a shit of their venue.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy.
It's here. It's a here thing.
I think it's in a. It probably it varies on area. I know in Ohio is the same way. There's no pictures online. But it kind of makes sense because a couple's never going to book a venue based on pictures. They're always going to want to walk the grounds and see the venue prior. Similar to us, we want to see the venue prior.
Yep. And the DJs do sometimes meet their clients in person for that final meeting. If they push for it, we just try to aim for the phone call. Less
requirements.
Right. But if they ask for an in-person meeting, at that point, we'll meet them. They'll meet them in person. We'll go to a coffee shop or something to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So okay. So that was the couple interaction. What does the DJ have to do in terms of that for you? I mean, you kind of already touched on it, but I have a little more stuff that the DJ actually has to do prior.
I don't know what you mean.
So, from the DJ standpoint in your company, what does he have to do? He has to organize the music.
Oh, all right.
He has to.
You're right. Yeah. So.
Do you have a requirement that they have to have the music 2 days ahead of time already downloaded?
No, I don't. I have a thing about micromanaging, and I
Yeah.
try to not as best I can, because if I'm going to work for someone, I don't want them to micromanage me. But if they needed micromanaging, they would not work for me. Right. So they're fine.
Gotcha.
Right. Anyways, so they have to. They get the reminder because I have all the automation to be like, oh, you have a meeting, you have a meeting, you have a meeting, blah blah blah. So they log in, they print out the planning information, they host the meeting, phone call, in person, whatever it may be, and then after they solidify all that information, then they get the music however they get it. Sometimes if they have to buy a song off of iTunes, they'll send me a receipt and I'll just refund them on their paycheck. But however they get it, it is on them to get their own music, and that's it.
Do you require them to do any pre-communication with any other vendors?
No, we have all that automated too.
Okay. So you already have automated emails that touch base with like the...
Right.
You send them the timeline? Is that what you do? Or?
Yep. Yeah, we send them. We send the coordinator our timeline and the first dance choice and all the song choices.
And then I guess you guys handle checking to make sure that matches what... Because if you're sending it to a coordinator, sometimes they're like, well, mine's different than yours, but you guys handle that, not the DJ.
Well, honestly, if that were the case, I'd be like, well, our start and end time is this, and actually it doesn't really matter that we have a timeline at all. And
I mean, like the order of events.
Right.
Like if the coordinator has a different idea for the order of events and
they
it
would
differs.
Just coach the DJ. I really wouldn't even I would probably ignore their email. I'd respond, but in reality, I'd ignore it. You know what I mean? I'd be like polite about it, but okay, so this shit switched around. All right, I'm sure the DJ knows. Because they go over everything with the couple, It's not like the couple like lied to the DJ,
Gotcha.
And it's right before the wedding. That's why we wait. We don't like to do it a month out, because if we do it a month and a half out or 2 months out or something, then they change their mind 2 weeks before the date, and they've told their coordinator, and then we'd be getting that email a lot more often, and there'd be some validity to it.
Gotcha. Just because it's a common thing that we've started doing a lot lately, because it's just been asked. Do you guys does the DJ, what if like a couple asks for a custom mix?
We charge, and I do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's been a common thing we've been asked a lot lately. After, I guess it's probably more or less because we have them in our videos. Literally, we have a video titled "Custom Father-Daughter Dance," and it's like just 20 songs mixed together that Marcellus made.
Right.
But
it's like 19 minutes long.
Yeah, the dance literally is like an 8-minute dance. He just posted it for the first time on YouTube today, and I was watching that like, I'm like, this is so long.
Back. I know. It's like, well, this is fun to watch.
Well, you noticed that like after the first like three or four songs, like all the crowd's like, yay.
I know, they're all checking their Facebooks on their phone.
Yeah, like they've stopped recording and they're just done.
Anytime people ask for stuff like that, I'll tell them that. I'm like, listen, like I know that it's a thing, but after 3 or 4 minutes, it's...
And the sad part is he did cut it down. So the bride found a video online of this being done. Right. But they played like, it was like 20 seconds per song, and he cut it down to like 10. Like it was like 2 verses and that was it. But yeah, custom songs are a little bit. So, I guess on our end, again, it's either Marcellus or myself. I just touch base on Marcellus if he's doing anything. It's kind of, I'm experimenting with how this is going to work because, again, experimenting for scaling down the road. I've made my mistakes. If you go watch the other podcast, I talk about the mistakes I've made in the DJs we've hired. We talked about, that was in the last episode, wasn't it? We talked about all the mistakes we've made and how to hire the right DJ. So go watch podcast number 2 if you haven't seen that already. So for right now, what it works is the DJ gets tons of reminders. And the way our system works is it's a task. And I strictly tell him, if you have not completed this task, do not mark it off. So that way I know you have not done it yet, and therefore I know to help you if you need help. And that way I don't micromanage you either. Because initially he was just marking it off that, yeah, I checked I transferred some of the planning form, or I didn't transfer all of it, or the planning form's half done. and he was clicking off planning form's done basically. And then I would go and check the planning form as my reminder a few days later, and it's not done. I'm like, dude, you can't like leave it unchecked. So that way I don't have to contact you and be like, yo, it's not done yet. If you leave it unchecked and I get the reminder, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah, I mean that was a huge, and I have more DJs than you have
It's true,
also. And so pulling people by the hair to do things the correct way, it just gets unfeasible. It's not even about, I mean, people make mistakes, but that's what it boils to. It's not like they're idiots, but sometimes
they're not. It's
they're
just
full-time college kids sometimes.
Yeah.
And like I'd have a client email them, and it's a bride, keep that in mind, a bride.
Yeah.
A needy bride emailing with a question, and whoever the DJ was just like read the email, was doing something else and playing a video game and didn't respond. I get an email 2 days later. What? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Is my DJ okay? Are we still on for the wedding? And I'm
that
like,
was back when
That
was back when the DJ got assigned ahead of time.
Right. That was just some of the issues, and you like you said, it's you and Marcellus. It's different.
Yeah, and it's all an experiment right now. We might change it down the line,
right?
But
well, I mean, if you were doing 10 DJs, it just depends. I
would need a bigger staff to handle it.
I know plenty of people that have way more DJs than me, and are doing that. What you're doing, it's not unheard of. I'm just saying that like it just didn't work for us.
Yeah, no, it's trial, error, and just seeing what works for you, what works for your company, your area, etc. So right now, Marcellus or myself is in charge of basically, we do a little bit more work. So we just kind of ask that our clients fill out our planning form, which asks all the questions, and then we fill out the actual timeline. A lot of that has to do with the fact of our system right now is not optimized to make it simple for the client to do it. It's not easy for them to move them around, or it's easier than yours. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, yeah.
I'm sure it's so much easier than a system.
Wait, can you click and drag events on DJ Event Planner?
Click and drag events?
Like the different timeline marks. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've actually been on Event Planner.
You mean like creating a timeline?
Creating a timeline is like click and drag to different areas. Oh yeah. So right now on Vibo, you got to click at the options key at the top, and then you click move, and then you can go through and you can move them up and down.
If it helps, the client clicks and drags. I don't click shit.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, moving events around is like, it's not intuitive and it's not laid out in a way that makes sense enough that I would be comfortable basically for what we're trying to offer to basically be like, hey, yeah, just go in here and do this and this. It's a lot easier for me to just ask the questions in the planning form, and then we can do it a lot quicker on the desktop. That's one thing. They don't have a desktop. We have an app. They have the app only.
Right.
It's easier to do on the desktop.
Also, I mean, like Vibo is way cheaper than DJ Event Planner.
Yeah, totally. 100% cheaper. That'll all change, though, in version 2, which we're working on now, hopefully. It's laid out in a way freaking better way. It's like, it's 9-day difference. They need to move quicker, though. Trust me. It's like they're telling me first quarter of 2021. Well, I guess it works out now.
I was just being a dick.
Yeah, I mean, you can just point out that Event Planner can cost you like $12 a month, something like that.
20 is the standalone.
I think I was paying like 10.
Yeah, you can get it for 10, but you don't have a custom URL, and it comes with a custom URL if you do 20.
I must have upgraded to the bigger one then, because I had a custom URL on mine. Anyways, I just didn't understand how it worked, and then I met Erik, and I already switched. So there's that.
The god of DJ EP.
Yeah, that's plugged in the description down below. Automate your DJ.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, we handle setting up the timeline for them. We basically send it to them, basically like, hey, does this work? What do you got? Any questions? We want to kind of have it set up so that when we go into this final consultation, we're pretty much just in there bullshitting. And one thing we've started a lot recently, because normally we try and do it in person for the final consultation, is we don't like meet at a coffee shop. We try to meet them like at a bar. We honestly try to meet them at a bar or like a cool little hangout spot. Maybe we can get a drink, because we're really shooting for them to feel like they know us closely and that we know them.
I would deem a coffee shop that, though.
It depends on the clients, and we're really trying to push like the party vibe and stuff like that. So, and that idea was from one of our clients. They literally were like, "Hey, we'd rather meet at a bar." So from now on, we've asked coffee shop, bar, like that's our thing. We basically like, would you like to meet at a coffee shop, a bar, and we've had a lot more people want to meet at a bar. I guess it has something to do with the stress level, and they're finally done, and like it's all done.
Like I said, if for in person in any way, they got to twist our arm. They have to go out of their way to email us through the automation.
Yeah, to
set up an in-person meeting.
Yeah, we're advising it, and that's just something. Right now, I really want them to feel like they know their DJ. I want them to be on a very close level. So day of, they're like cracking jokes with the DJ, literally like they know him like they're best friends.
That does help. That helps a lot,
and that helps with reviews and referrals and everything. Period.
Yep.
So that's why we do that. That's how we do it. It's catered to be more one-to-one just from day of. That's just the whole business mindset. Custom, one-to-one. Literally, that's how it's laid out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The DJ does download all the music, organizes all the music. He is responsible for buying his own music, though, on my end, just the way we work it, unless I already have it. So he has access to my library. If I have it, he gets it, and vice versa. So he hasn't really had to purchase any music, though, period. 9 times out of 10, I have it. But that's pretty much it. He does all the planning. Oh, vendor communication. We don't have it automated, so the DJ is responsible for going on there and seeing what vendors are already there and sending them an email with the timeline. It's very simple. It's just a reminder that pops up, says, hey, take the PDF freaking planning form, pop it in an email, and carbon copy all the other vendors and basically send it to them. It's amazing how many vendors reach back out and say, wow, you're so much better than other DJs because no one ever sends us a timeline. I'm sure you get the same email.
They respond.
It's crazy.
They sure do respond.
I'm amazed that them don't. One thing on Honeybook that's really interesting, I think I told you about this, but because Honeybook was originally for photographers, there's a ton of photographers already on Honeybook. So when you create a workspace in Honeybook and you add them into it, all of their profile information pops up and everything, and they get a notification that they've been added to it. And then you send them a little email like, hey, I wanted to create this little workspace so that we could collab and stuff. And they like lose their shit. They're like, you use Honeybook too? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It just links like that. Yeah. It's crazy. I've actually gave some photographers some tutorials on how to use Honeybook better for automating it.
That'll help you.
Mm-hmm. They know me a little better at that point. They know the business a little better. I'm single too. I'm just kidding.
Jeez, that's okay. Okay.
Photographers are normally single, man. A lot of them are.
Normal single. All right.
Anyways, but that pretty much is the process. Yeah, that's pretty much the process leading up to the day of, from consultation to leading up to the day of everything that happens.
Right. And then there's also, maybe a future talk before the consultation, leading up to the talk of book a consult, and then after
the lead process,
right? Yeah,
as I would
the
call
whole
it.
Lead process, collection of them and how you deal with them, workflows and shit, and then after, during the wedding, starting at the wedding and on,
starting day of what happens,
right? And we'll touch base on all that another time.
Those are for future topics, but I want to highly recommend at this point right now to ask you guys for topics. We are 100% literally filming every episode based on comments or DMs basically saying, hey, we would love for you to talk about this topic. If it's a good topic, we'll talk about it. This one right here was a comment, I believe, on the last podcast where someone pitched out like 2 or 3 ideas, and one of them, he was like, talk about the workflow process from consultation to day of. So that is what we're talking about here.
So leave us a comment, find us on Instagram, DM us with some ideas, or just say what's up. I'm Erik Massengale, Erik_Massengale on Instagram. And I believe he is
DJ Rick Webb.
DJ Rick Webb.
No spaces, no nothing.
Yeah,
DJ Rick Webb.
You can find that information and spelling in the in the description
below. Yes, find it in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube right now, it popped up over our faces and our heads right now.
Cool.
But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you're on whatever source you're on, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, whatever you're listening on. There's different ways to interact, but leave comments, leave interaction. We love your guys' feedback. We are now on pretty much every single listening source out there, from Google Podcasts, iTunes Podcasts. There's Overcast. I can't even remember all the ones, but basically I went through and I set us up on pretty much every last thing. Spotify's the main one though. Anchor, you name it. If we are not on it, leave a comment down below and tell us what platform we are not on, and I will get it set up. It's very simple for us to add our podcast to pretty much any streaming source out there. But yeah, that's everything, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you guys in the next one, or I guess you will hear us in the next one. Peace.